My dealer says, oh, look, there's Dr. J. I look over my shoulder, and it's not Dr. J. It is indeed Michael Jordan. So I tell the dealer, I'm like, what's wrong with you? That's Michael Jordan. That's not Dr. J. She's like, no, he's been here for a couple days. I'm like, listen to me. I'm wearing the shoes. It's Michael Jordan. Whatever. He does another lap around the casino about 10 minutes later, and she's like, look, there he is again, Dr. J. So I turn around. I'm like, hey, Mike. He turns around. He's all by himself. I swear on my life, this is a true story. He turns around, and I point to the dealer, and I say, she thinks you're Dr. J. He comes walking over. He sits down, and literally, I'm playing blackjack with Michael Jordan.
Welcome back to Making Bread, where we talk about all the new ways to make money using the technology of 2022. I'm your host, NFL quarterback, Matt Barkley. My guest today has done a little bit of everything, and we're going to talk about nearly all of it. He's currently both the CEO of an NFT company and the host of a podcast, so you know he's the perfect fit right here. Jon Orlando, welcome to the show. How we doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I am rocking. Glad to get this on the docket. I've been following you and love your gregariousness, your unbashfulness. Just you say things like it is. And as a comedian, I know you're a former comedian. It's kind of a hot topic now, but I would love to hear a quick thought on the Will Smith, Chris Rock section. You probably answered this already 500 times, but curious.
Yeah. I think it's crazy, you know. I mean, just comedians in general over the last, whatever it's been, 4 or 5 years, seem to be on the hot seat. You know, that used to be the unwritten rule that comedy gets a pass, right? The comedians get a pass, whatever it is, however sensitive the subject matter is, it's okay if it's in the name of comedy. And I think we got to get back to that. I mean, what Will Smith did is absolutely insane to stand up and walk on stage and smack Chris Rock is just nuts. I mean, it's so nuts. I'm sure pretty sure he regrets it now. You know, but you got to be better than that. You know, you expect way more out of Will Smith than that. That was just awful.
Yeah, I like that take. And that seems to be the common thing from stand-ups and different people I've seen in the show business is that, no, you don't let something like that happen.
Yeah.
But I do have to ask too, your podcast, Action Junkies, you've been in kind of this space for a while now. As just someone for me is kind of getting started in the podcast world. I've been in front of camera more so on the interviewee side, just in my life as an athlete. But any podcast tips moving forward?
Man, yeah. I mean, I think you're already doing it. You know, you've been on the other side. You know, I think the key is just not to make it about yourself. You know, it's hard for some people because usually the people that want to be a podcaster, they do it because they want it to be about themselves, you know? And right. I think that that's the key. You know, I think that's what makes Rogan so great is he lays out a lot. You know, he lets the guest talk and he jumps in when he should jump in, and he's not afraid to let the guest be the guest. You know, I think that's the important thing. But just that conversation, it's just all about that flow, you know. Yeah. when you're unscripted and you just kind of sit down like we are and you just, you know, have a conversation, it's a good thing. It's fun. I've been doing it 5 years. I love it. I me't it beats working, you know.
It's fun.
Yeah, it
is. And I think when you are in a learning mode and you're just in a normal being yourself mode, it's not about me. Like the last thing I want to do is just talk about myself, but getting to talk to people that are much smarter than me, that are in some fields that I don't know as much. I can learn from you, and we can go back and forth and grow. I think that's what it boils down to. So yeah,
the sad part is I don't want to burst your bubble. You're not going to learn anything from me today. I hope you weren't hoping you were going to learn something from me today, because that's shaky. You're
going to be dropping knowledge. But before we get to your story, we got some knowledge and ways we can learn from around the web in our section we call Whale Watching. The WNBA is getting in the NFT game, and as the New York Liberty announced, they will be releasing 400 NFTs to coincide with their first game of the season. So if you could collaborate with any pro sports team to release an NFT collection, who would you pick? What would it look like?
any sports team?
Yeah.
Well, I probably got to pick my Dodgers because I'm a diehard Dodger fan, and I absolutely believe they're going to win the season win record, which I believe is 116. I've got them coming in at 118 games this year, and they're on pace to do exactly that. Obviously, it's way early, and they'll never get there, but it's fun to make believe they will. I think they could, but
The
yeah, I would
Dodgers.
want to collaborate with the Dodgers. I think there's a lot of fun on the NFT side that you could do with any sports team, in terms of on the utility side of the NFT, right? The access that maybe some of those NFTs could get you, batting practice on the field, or dress up, kind of like the fantasy
experiences.
camp thing, that kind of stuff. Like, there's so much you could do that would be really fun.
I know you have a funny segment on even defining what a sport is and whether golf fits that category or not.
Wow, you do follow.
We'll let that slide for another conversation.
Okay.
In
fair
other
enough.
news, the first quarter numbers for Netflix were pretty rough, and they lost subscribers for the first time in over 10 years. And even more troubling, they are projected to lose far more in the second quarter. Do you think this is the beginning of the end for Netflix?
I don't. I've heard a lot of my friends do believe that. I don't. I think they got caught up in the PC, being PC and all that stuff, and I think they just suffered a little backlash, but I think they'll rebound. I mean, come on, Ozark is on Netflix. The people are coming.
Is that your top show on Netflix?
Season 4 part 2 comes out this Friday. I can't wait.
There you go.
I rented out a movie theater to watch it, and I'm not even kidding you. I did it for the first part of this season.
It's actually surprisingly cheaper than you think to do if you have a big group of people.
100%. It's a small theater. It's a place called the Art House here in Vegas, and it holds like their biggest theater. They have the recliners. It's really nice, and it holds like 50 people. Like, it's nothing. Like, I have a wait list.
No brainer. More content like Ozark on Netflix will bump subscribers. Here we go.
100%.
Uber announced that they will be adding travel by planes, trains, and automobiles. No, they already have cars, but rental cars are being added to their service as well in the UK, with the goal to eventually become a one-stop shop for all your travel needs. So would you feel confident booking an Uber plane?
Ooh, that makes me nervous. But I mean, think back when Uber first started. It goes against all of the things we were taught to say no to when we were little. Do not accept rides from strangers, right? And yet we all opted in on that. So I wouldn't doubt if they are able to pull that off.
Don't get in a plane with strangers.
Yeah. I mean, my uncle's a pilot, and I won't fly with him. So, why not Uber? I'll do it.
We'll keep tabs on that.
Yeah.
Crypto.com announced that they will be the official sponsor for the 2022 FIFA World Cup, continuing a huge push from the company to get involved in pro sports sponsorships. So I know you're into digital art and currencies, but I know you're also a longtime Dodgers fan, as we talked about. So how would you feel if Dodger Stadium was renamed Crypto.com Field?
Bugs me. I just saw an article the other day. They were talking about their bid. I think it's up for grabs, the bidding for Dodger Stadium naming rights. But I think it's going to be Dodger Stadium by whatever, or I think they're going to still use the words Dodger Stadium. But man, I get it. I know it's big money, and it's easy when you're a fan to like, oh, they shouldn't do that. They're a sellout. But like, when you own the team and you're talking about millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, like, come on, guys, like, we gotta be realistic with it. But it kind of is upsetting, but it is what it is.
Two arenas, stadiums in the same city by the same sponsor. I don't think that's ever happened before, has it?
Yeah, probably not. And then here's the funny thing is, like, isn't it always still going to be Staples Center? Like, it's so committed to our brain, right? Like, hard to make that switch.
When Staples is no longer around, there's no brick and mortar, we're still going to be calling it Staples Center.
Right. Like, I still call the Kodak Theater up on Hollywood Boulevard the Kodak Theater. It's not even, I don't even know what it is now. I don't even know what it's called, but it's not Kodak. It hasn't been Kodak for like 10 years.
I guess this next generation will only know crypto and not Staples, and then it's a generational marketing play. So
true.
You never know.
Yeah.
The Education Department continues to announce fixes to trim the amount of student loan debt facing millions of students. So, speaking generally, which of these three takes best sums up your stance on student loan debt? So, A, eliminate it all. B, I'm fine with making changes to limit some of it. Or C, you signed up for the loan, now you got to pay it.
Yeah, I think it's C. You signed up for it and you got to pay it. But I'd almost encourage people to stop signing up for it. Like, I don't know, man. I am a college dropout. I dropped out of college with a semester to go, so I'm probably the wrong guy to take life advice from. But I just think unless you're going to be a lawyer, a doctor, or something that you absolutely have to have the degree in, you're going to start at the bottom in most things that you go do. So save those 4 years, save the time and the money, and just go get a job in the field you want to work in, and just work your way up. You can do it.
I think a lot of people are realizing that, whether it is the junior college route to cut off, time that they actually need to spend at a university, or going straight into a trade, or learning online. I mean, the amount of information you can learn online now compared to when even we were in college is staggering. And if all you're trying to do is get a job, there's ways to do it,
Yeah, for sure.
Well, like I said, I like to research who I interview and talk to a little before the show, but going through your resume, the list goes on and on. I mean, either you're an NFT guy or a crypto guy or a traditional investor, but you're all over the place. And I want to go a little rapid fire here. I'm just going to read off a few things I read about you and tell me whether they're true or false. All right,
Okay.
You ready? You did stand-up comedy for 10 years.
Poorly, yes, that's true.
You were a publicist for athletes and models.
Yeah, from after my stand-up career, I started a PR. It was crazy. I was a comedian on a Friday. I started a PR firm on a Monday, like after September 11th happened, pretty much. Traveling was such a hard thing to do at the time, and nobody felt like laughing. I did a favor for a friend, and somehow it turned into having a PR firm where I worked with everybody from Marshall Falk to Marcus Allen, Warren Moon, Frank Trigg, the UFC fighter, Coco Crisp, the baseball player. The list goes on. And, we produced several events at the Playboy Mansion, events for Maxim, calendar release parties, all kinds of stuff. It was a good time for 10 years.
So comedian, publicist, the list goes on.
Basically, I can't keep a job, Matt. That's the problem. I can't keep a job. That's the problem.
You launched your own PR marketing boutique. And how about this? You produced events at the Super Bowl, Grammys, and Sundance. True or false?
Yeah, true. We did the Best Damn Sports Show Super Bowl party in Phoenix when the Giants played the Patriots. And we had funny, it comes full circle. You know who we hired for the first night for entertainment?
Tell me.
Chris Rock did stand up. We did it with the Holly Rod Foundation with Rodney Peete, and raised a bunch of money for a good cause, for autism, and Parkinson's disease. And we had Chris Rock perform one night. We had Ludacris the other night, and we had, I want to say, Cedric the Entertainer doing in the Bud Light Lounge at the event that we did. Yeah, it was fun.
Nuts. Okay, the diversity is insane. How about this? True or false? You led a mobile app development company for celebrities.
I did. There was a company called Metal Mobile based in Orange County, and then it was early. It was like 2010, 2011. So saying iPhone app, a mobile app, was like a foreign language to people. Right. I remember telling everyone, you will have an app in the next 12 to 18 months if you're a business. You just don't know it yet. And people thought I was crazy. And now I say the same things about NFTs. You will absolutely have an NFT, multiple NFTs, if you are a person, place, or thing in business in the next 12 to 18 months. You just may not know it yet.
Well, if they're smart, they'll listen to you.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll listen to you on this one. You are the director of talent relations and one of the heads of a new business development for a company called Hang With.
Yeah, so that was born out of the app company. Actually, it was a passion project over there that we built. And it was basically Instagram Live or Facebook Live before Instagram Live or Facebook Live. We were a little early. That's my problem, Matt, is I'm always too early, so I never cash out in millions. I just get involved in things early and then flounder around like a fish out of water somehow. I always miss the big payday because I'm too early. But yeah, we had this live streaming platform. Our partners on the platform were like 50 Cent, Cascade, Terrell Owens. We had some amazing people I remember agents and managers that I would call and try to get their talent on the using the Hang With platform. And I remember they would tell multiple agents and managers in Hollywood told me, you're never going to get celebrities to broadcast their lives live once a week, let alone daily, unless you're paying them. And I think we all know how that ended up shaking out. But yeah, too soon. I was too soon.
The innovation is through the roof here. You are the CEO of a podcast network.
Yeah.
Which we discussed, true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I host Action Junkies. Calling it a network today might be a little misleading. We're getting it off the ground, but yeah, we've got fitness junkies. We're bringing political junkies back. We're bringing Vegas junkies back, and at some point there'll be golf junkies, car junkies, football junkies, everything junkies.
Junkies.
Yeah.
Speaking of junkies, you live in Vegas where you play poker professionally and gamble on sports?
I play poker like a degenerate. I wouldn't say professionally, but I have played in the main event in the World Series. Didn't do very well twice. I'm looking forward to it this year in July. Well, the event started end of May, but the main event is in July. And yeah, I love playing poker. I've had a lot of good days and definitely a lot of bad days. It's a very frustrating game. But it's fun. Do you play?
For fun, not in any way big money games at all.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that, but is there anything I missed on the
No, that was pretty
on
good.
the list?
You did a good job.
So with the Vegas connection and betting, do you approach gambling with an investment mindset?
No.
Or like at least methodical, not necessarily investment, but do you have rules that you play by, or is any of it emotion, like reading the room related?
So I co-host a sports betting show called Wisecracks with a guy named Bill Krakenberger, who is a very famous sports bettor. He has been making a living betting on sports for 20 years or so, and he is always preaching the importance of bankroll management. I, however, am horrible at that aspect across the board. I am a gut feeling guy. I am the Dodgers have lost 3 in a row. They have to win tonight. It's been black at the roulette wheel 5 spins in a row. It's got to be red. I'm that idiot in the casino, and none of the things I just said are true. It doesn't have to be the opposite after 4 times or whatever. It could be black 26 times in a row. It is what it is. But yeah, with poker though, it's a little different. I mean, it's less gambling. It's definitely more strategic with the betting and stuff. And I do believe you can read some people, but even when you read the people in poker and you get it right, there's still usually cards coming that can change the outcome. So there's definitely a lot of chance involved.
Who's the biggest celebrity you've played with that you'd say?
That I've played with?
Gambled with? Against?
Well, I played not poker, but I have a crazy story back on February 18th. Do we have time? How long do you want this answer?
We got time.
Okay.
This sounds worth it.
Okay, this is going to be worth it. On February 18th, 1993, you know it's good story coming when you remember the date, okay? Yes. I was 22 years old. I was working at a shoe store in Brentwood in L.A. called Front Runners. It was like a glorified Foot Locker, and I sold athletic shoes, high-end sweatpants, whatever. But it's in Brentwood, so a lot of your clients were people like Robin Williams from back in the day, and MacGyver, and just the who's who in Hollywood. And anyway, I got fired from this job for being late too many times within a 6-month span, and I found myself in Vegas that same day, cashing in the Cowboys won the Super Bowl in 93. They beat the Bills 52-17. It was the largest margin of victory in Super Bowl history. I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, even though there's a Raiders helmet over my shoulder because I'm supporting the hometown team and I'm friends with Marcus Allen. I'm a big Cowboy fan, so they were 10-1 to win it all that year. So I put $200 on the beginning of the season. So I had a winning ticket, $2,000 I had to go collect. So I'm like, I did the responsible thing, Matt. You get fired from your job, you go to Vegas, right? That's what any responsible human being would do. So I go to Vegas to cash in this ticket, and I get the $2,000. It was over at the Mirage, and I blow through the $2,000, Matt, in I'll be nice and say 15 minutes it took me to blow through the whole $2,000. I'm miserable. I go and I get money out of the ATM machine. I lose that to the point where I can't even get any more. I max out a credit card. I lose that. Back then, I don't know if you can still do it now. I wouldn't advise it, even if you can do it. Don't do it if you're listening or watching this. I wrote a check to the casino, to the Mirage.
They accepted that?
Yeah, they took a check. It was crazy. Basically, a check is really, let's just call it what it is.
Not a cashier's check.
It's an IOU, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's good, maybe it's not. So I cashed this check and for $1,000 at the Mirage, and this is my Hail Mary to the end zone, right? And I blowed through 400 real quick, and now I'm like, okay, I got $600. Now the sane, believe it or not, there is a sane me, and I'm like, okay, let's just chill out, slow down. The new plan is, by then it was like maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm on like a 6 o'clock flight. I'm like, let's just last enough to get back to LA. And on Monday, let's go back to the shoe store and go begging for your job back. That's the new plan of action, okay? So I'm sitting there at this blackjack table. It's a Friday afternoon, so I'm all by myself. The town's not very busy yet. And my dealer says, oh, look, there's Dr. J. Remember Dr. J, the old basketball player? You're probably too young. But, okay, he was the Michael Jordan of the 70s, right?
Yeah.
So I look over my shoulder, and it's not Dr. J. It is indeed Michael Jordan. So I tell the dealer, I'm like, what's wrong with you? That's Michael Jordan. That's not Dr. J. She's like, no, he's been here for a couple days. I'm like, listen to me. I'm wearing the shoes. It's Michael Jordan. Whatever. He does another lap around the casino about 10 minutes later, and she's like, look, there he is again, Dr. J. So I turn around. I'm like, hey, Mike. He turns around. He's all by himself. I swear on my life, this is a true story. He turns around, and I point to the dealer, and I say, she thinks you're Dr. J. He comes walking over, and he makes a joke. He says, I get it. We all look alike. I get it. He makes that joke. He made that joke, not me. No cancel here, okay? So he sits down, and literally I'm playing blackjack with Michael Jordan. It's craziest thing. And, here's something you didn't cover. Again, you're probably too young. I grew up in a showbiz family. My father is Tony Orlando. If you know the song Tie Yellow Ribbon or Knock 3 Times, ask your grandparents if you're listening. They'll explain it to you. The unwritten rule is when you meet someone famous and you have a famous father that you're riding his coattails, as I do, try to work that in the conversation because it changes it's the unwritten rule. It means you're more worthy to talk to if it's a celebrity. I don't know. It's just weird. So I worked that in. Mike is like really cool. He's like, oh, I used to watch your dad's show, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like in this like crazy world now, or how am I sitting here? I don't even care that I've lost all this money. I just met Michael Jordan. I mean, who cares about the money, right? So I got $600 left. And I say to him after about 20 or 30 minutes, I said, look, you ever play roulette? He's like, I love roulette. I'm like, let's go play roulette. Me and Michael Jordan, this is a true story. This is February 18th, 1993. We walk over the roulette wheel over at the Mirage, and I got $600. So my normal numbers that I play are 7, 9, 11, 26, and 30. Okay? Those are my
you do
5
have rules.
Those are my numbers. So I tell Mike, I said, I'm going to play all those numbers, but I'm going to add 23 in your honor. I'm putting $100 on every one. If I win, I get $3,500. If I lose, who cares? I had the greatest day of my life gambling with Michael Jordan. This is a win-win scenario. He puts $1,000 on red because 23 is red. He puts $200 on number 23. The dealer spins the ball, and I told her, if you hit one of those numbers, I swear on my life, I will give you $500. Boom, it hits 23. Crazy. I am high-fiving him. I got $3,500. I throw her $500. He just won like $8,000. I do the same exact bet the next spin, and I even tell him, put 100 on 11. That's my favorite number in honor of my buddy Travis Woods, who wore 11 on my high school baseball team. I just like the way it looks, number 11. He puts 100 on 11. He puts 200 on 23. He puts $1,000 on red again. I tell the dealer, same thing. You hit one of those numbers, I'll give you $500. Boom, hits 11. Unbelievable.
What a day.
I'm high-fiving him to the point where my palm is red and itchy. Long story short, or it's probably too late for that, guess who comes walking up to the roulette wheel? Dr. J.
Dr. J.
The
No way.
NBA, you can look it up. The NBA All-Star Game in 1993 was in Salt Lake City, Utah. And where do you want to post up for a few days leading up to the game? You're going to hang out in Salt Lake City, no offense to you Utahns, or you're going to hang out in Vegas for a couple days. So a lot of guys were in town. Jordan and Dr. J were two of them. They ended up walking away from the table. I stayed, and I walked away from that roulette wheel with $22,000. True story.
Wow, all from a check you wrote too.
Yeah, crazy.
That's incredible. So living in Vegas, that scene has changed so much since '93.
For sure.
In regards to the legalization of sports gambling and online poker in other states, how has that affected Vegas and the tourism there and everything else?
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but
Right.
I actually don't think. I do know from hosting Wisecracks with Bill that New Jersey is murdering it in sports betting.
Yeah.
I want to say they had the largest drop in the history of any casino, of anything in Vegas, like in the month of maybe it was September last year or something like that. Don't quote me on all these numbers, but something like that. Like they've been killing it. But I think it all helps because it still doesn't replace Vegas, right? I mean, Vegas is this own animal. So even if anything, I think it paves the way for more business in the future because you have more people that could legally bet, more people that like to do it. And yeah, sure.
And then they still go big in Vegas.
They still go big in Vegas.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, sure. I think it's a good thing.
So you're into sports, you're into boxing, MMA, Dodgers.
Yeah.
But in regards to sports gambling, how deep are you into that knowledge? Because me as an athlete, know nothing. I've never even stepped in a bookie. Like there's just stuff that I don't know about that. So I'm curious as to your take.
I like betting on the UFC fights. I do feel I'm pretty good at that one. Football, I don't really. I mean, I'll bet, but I don't like the spreads. I just bet money lines. So I like trying to find the underdog that I think could win outright and make those bets with football. Baseball, I do like. I've been preaching to a lot of my buddies, Dodgers -1.5 all day long. I don't want to say every day, but kind of like I know you're not going to win every day, obviously, but I think in the long run, Dodgers -1.5 is a good bet. Just so you know, every game the Dodgers have won this year, they've covered that by more than 2. They have that explosive offense that I don't see them being in too many one-run games. So you might as well take them -1.5. And I like that bet more on the road than I do at home. So that can be really advantageous to you because they're probably going to be favorites almost everyone they play. But I think you'll get better odds on the road, and you're guaranteed 9 at bats on the road versus the 8 at bats. Maybe a 9th at bat at home, but usually the runners on second and third in a tie game at home, and someone hits a single, you're only getting credit for the 1 run instead of the 2. Right. So because the game's over once that first run crosses the plate, that if it was a top of the 9th in scenario, you'd get both runs. So I really like Dodgers -1.5, but I bet UFC. That's almost every week I'm betting UFC.
So in addition to going all in on Dodgers and the UFC games that you're putting or matches you're putting money on, for someone just getting started though, what would you say? Would you say like fantasy football just to get like a glimpse, or like a mobile app to get easy access? Where do you start?
Yeah, that's tough. Fantasy football is fun because you obviously you can get. It's very time consuming though. I mean, that's a big commitment.
It keeps you involved.
Yeah, it keeps you involved, and I think having a fantasy football team, I would imagine will help you with betting on football because you're going to know all the numbers and you're going to know who's hot all around the league, and you're going to know who's injured and who's not all around the league, where that you might not know that if you're just casually betting football games, you may not realize the number 1 wide receiver is not even playing today or whatever. So I think there's a lot of factors you'll know about because you have a fantasy team. That's just a huge time commitment, but I think it would be smart.
Regardless though, with just researching and like how much research can you do? I'm sure there's blogs and newsletters and websites to gather data,
Yeah.
all the data you would need rather than just throwing money on your favorite team. Is that possible for just someone getting started?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, or there's a lot of guys, not to do a shameless plug here for my buddy Bill Krakenberger, but he has the Crack Wins app. He's got a whole team of guys that do all that research you're talking about.
I'm sure.
And I think last year I want to say he was like 60% or something, which is unheard of. There's a lot of guys, you got to be careful. There's a lot of those pro sports bettors that'll tell you they're hitting 70%, 85%. There's just no way, man. It's impossible. I mean, it's an out and out lie when people are telling you that. It's impossible. It's being 52%, 53% is hard enough, you know?
So what about Matt Barkley over under 4,000 passing yards? Is that a bet you would take?
I'll take it. I'll take the over.
Practice doesn't count. We'd have to shoot for the stars on that one.
Right.
But transition a little bit.
Yeah.
We mentioned your comedy and stand-up as an opening act for your dad, which is probably the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
How do you think that decade of performing on stage prepared you for what you're doing now, running podcasts?
I am so glad you asked that question, not just for podcasting, but I actually think everyone on the planet should try stand-up one time. And don't worry about whether you're funny or not. It doesn't matter. The purpose of the exercise is to be willing to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation.
It's so important.
And battle through it for even 5 minutes of stand-up, which, by the way, feels like an eternity the first time you go on stage. The first time I opened for my dad, never mind that, the first time I did stand-up was me opening for my dad opening night in Branson, Missouri, where he lives, which is Branson has tons of like performing arts centers and theaters where people like the Osmonds and my dad and Wayne Newton have all done shows over the years. 2,000 people. I've never even held a microphone in my life. I wrote the material the night before because I was nervous and procrastinating all leading up to it. It's probably how fighters feel, not to compare stand-up to fighting, but it's that probably similar anxiety of nervousness. Only you're not going to get punches thrown at you, but humiliation can hurt just as bad as a punch, I think. And I ripped through all my 5 minutes of material in about a minute, sweating like a pig. Somehow I got through this awful thing. Entertainment Tonight was there doing a feature on me, and it was just terrible. I was so bad. I can't even believe my dad. I'm thankful that my dad let me go up there for the first 3 to 6 months where I was just horrible. And at the same time, I'm like, how could you do that to me? How could you do that to you? So embarrassing, so bad. But I think it teaches you a lot. It teaches you to problem solve in the heat of the moment with your words, and you have to stay calm. And there's a lot of lessons that you learn by doing stand-up, and you learn a lot about yourself. And even if you don't do well, if you guys do take me up on this and you try doing stand-up for 5 minutes, the self-confidence that will give you, I always say, like, man, you're fearless after that.
It's some of the most raw feedback you can get.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the opposite of an echo chamber where you're hearing what you want to hear. Like,
right.
If it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, you're going to know.
You know instantly, yeah. Even like doing this, like we don't know if people are liking this or whatever. It is what it is.
We're hilarious right now, aren't we? This is fantastic.
Yeah. Best podcast ever. But, when you do stand-up, you absolutely know whether this is good or bad. It's one of those few things that you know right away. Sports, very similar. Like you know if you had a good game or a bad game. You know while it's happening in real time if you're having a good game or bad game,
Yes.
Yeah.
Getting outside of your comfort zone, exposing yourself to your weaknesses, whether that's stand-up, sports, just pushing your comfort zones, I'm a huge fan of. Even like my kids, letting them do things that are dangerous for them but won't get them injured, I think are important for that growth that you'll get to experience. I'm with you.
Yeah.
That probably helped you be outspoken too and confident in your words. I mean, I saw an Instagram post you had. It was this video you just crushing some movie you watched on Netflix that you hated it, just talking trash, flipping off the people who made the movie. Do you ever worry, maybe even in stand-up too, with some jokes, do you ever worry about burning bridges with people, or?
So when I did stand up, I didn't worry because I opened for my dad and his audience was older. I was very vanilla. I didn't swear. Normally I talk like a truck driver, dropping F-bombs in my daily speak, not even out of anger, just happy F-bombs, to provide color commentary, and opening for my dad, I was squeaky clean. It wasn't until I started working some comedy clubs. I had a reverse comedy career. Normally, you do open mic night, then you start working at a comedy club, and then you get to open for people like my dad and Tom Jones and Paul Anka and Dionne Warwick and all these cool people that I opened for. Mine was reverse. I started there and backtracked to the comedy club life. And when I got to the comedy club is when I realized how not funny I was, because I was performing for like the older crowd. It was just easier. And it was like, I didn't really have any material for a comedy club. And when I tried writing, I realized like, oh man, this is hard. It's easy
you had to relate
bowl.
To a different audience.
Yeah, it's harder, and it's easy to bowl strikes when you're opening for your dad or even opening for Tom Jones. Just the perception of people is if you're opening for someone like my dad or Tom Jones or the Four Tops, the Temptations, the audience just assumes, oh, you must be good. You're opening for them. So the mindset is, before you've said a word, their mindset is, oh, he's going to be funny. Where when you're in a comedy club on a random Wednesday night at 11 o'clock at night and you got a 5-minute spot, the audience is like, go ahead, let's see what you got, and that it's much harder in that setting.
Did you ever say anything that, whether that or on a podcast, that you've regretted just because being authentic and being yourself, and like we said with Chris Rock, like everything should be safe? Yeah,
for sure. I still try to be careful with comedy. I wish I was completely uncensored, like when it comes to being on the podcast and stuff. I flirt with certain things a little more if I'm really fired up or in the right mood or the wrong mood, depending. But I still think I try to be careful, because now I know, it's sad that it's like that, but I know, like, is it worth, sometimes like today I did it. Someone was talking about Elon Musk buying Twitter, and they were like, these people were on like so bent out of shape over it, and I was gonna start commenting, and I'm like, you know what, for what? Like, I don't even know this guy. Like, it just showed up my feet. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna give my 2 cents. I'm not doing it.
Well, that tweet would not be deleted now if you were to say something about it. So.
Right. Yeah, I gotta wait till he takes over, then I'll chime in.
Yeah. All right, so getting to the good stuff now.
Yeah.
You are now the CEO of Maxim NFTs.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how.
Crypto Joe. Again, the list keeps going.
Apparently, everybody else said no.
But we've talked a lot about the NFT world and Web3 on this show, but the Maxim connection is definitely new. So tell us about their plans, your role, and the move into NFTs, and what kind of collabs we can expect. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of fun stuff we can do. Maxim is this iconic brand that's over 25 years old. Obviously, I think if you're under maybe 30 or 35, which is interesting, it's an interesting challenge, because I think the bulk of the NFT enthusiasts are under the age of 30. I mean, a lot of them are in their teens and early crowd, 20s. Yeah. So when you say Maxim, it doesn't mean much to them. So that poses a challenge. But at the same time, I think it also means that Maxim we can capture the older demo, right? Because we are more trusted, and we do mean something to 40, 45, 50, 55-year-old people. So I think there's a big opportunity for us to not only educate people on what NFTs are, because there's still so many that just don't, what non-fungible token, what does that even mean? And on the utility side, I think there's a lot of fun collabs we can do with models, with nightclubs across the world, all over the world, movie producers. Yeah, it's not just going to be like a photo NFT or artwork. It's going to have use case. There's a lot of fun stuff. I mean, like, I'm friends with Randall Emmett, the movie producer. He produced Lone Survivor, Two Guns with Denzel, The Irishman, got nominated for Best Picture. He's also directing movies. Like, I think there's a lot of fun stuff we could do with someone like Randall, where maybe even a one of one, you could buy a role in a movie or something. I mean, I think there's a lot of, here's an autographed, here's the digital script, here's the physical script autographed by the cast of whatever his next movie is, with Stallone, De Niro, Pesci, whoever, and then also you get
one page of dialogue in his next film or something. This isn't a deal I've done. This is just me dreaming.
No, but it shows like what the power that NFTs have, and it's
Yeah.
not just like your Twitter profile pic. It's
Right.
It's a new fan club in a sense. It's a new way of interacting
Yeah.
and providing a fan experience.
Yeah.
That's verified. It's not like
Right.
you copy and pasted some PDF you found on
Right.
some advertisement. It's
Yeah.
verifiable. What was your intro into NFTs?
Well, it's funny. Like I do every year we do on Action Junkies, we do a 24-hour live podcast. Crazy. We're on for 24 straight hours, and we have like
Jeez.
over 40 guests, in studio and on Zoom. It's really like a fun thing. I just did it the first year. This was the third year we did it. The first year we did it was in 2020. We did it, and the world ended like 4 days later. We did it the first weekend in March, and I just did it. I thought it would be like a fun thing to do, and it was. Although we tapped out in the 20th hour the first year because some guests canceled down the stretch, and I was exhausted, and I did it wrong. We started at like I think 8 o'clock at night. The first year, and I'm already up like 14 hours by then. Like, what was I thinking? Like, absolute fail. So when I was in hour 20 of the show, I was already up for like 36 hours. Like, I was delirious. I was falling asleep on camera. It was terrible. But the point I'm making is in 2021, we did the show, and I remember I had an adult film star, Sophie D, and her boyfriend / manager, Tyler, was on, and I know he's very into digital and tech. And I remember on that show in March of 2021, I said, Tyler, I'm hearing a lot about these NFTs. Explain it to me. And he was like, it's non-fungible token. He's like, I don't really even know what that means. And we had this whole conversation of like, we don't know, but we know it's going to be big. That was March of 2021. And then I had them back on in March of 2022. They are heavily investing in NFTs, the both of them. And now I'm the CEO of Maxim NFT. I was like, wow, isn't that crazy how much can change in a year? And again, it's like a life lesson, right? You no matter what your situation is, good or bad, you have to respect for the good and bad, that it can all be completely flipped in either direction for good and bad, right?
No question.
Over the course of a year, and really even over the course of 30 days, and it's important that we remember that. And if you're down and out or things aren't going your way, right? The football game's four quarters, man. Whatever happens in the first half, as we learned in that one Super Bowl in Atlanta or against Atlanta, right?
No doubt.
A lot can change the second half of the game. And so, I'm real excited with the NFT space. I mean, I think there's a lot we can do with Maxim, and I'm looking forward to it.
And that'll happen from one conversation that you had that piqued your interest and went down the rabbit hole. There you go.
Yeah, crazy, right?
That's kind of similar to my story and how I got into Bitcoin, Ethereum back in the day. But one conversation, guys. Share with your friends, okay?
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
We've covered, I think, just about everything, 400 jobs and everything under the sun. Is there anything I missed or something that you want to do that you haven't done yet?
Something I want to do that I haven't done yet. Yes, I absolutely 100% need to make a movie in my lifetime.
As a producer, or you want to be in one?
All of the above. I'd love to eventually produce, direct, and be in one. I've got some stories from my life that would be a great movie or a great, series like Ozark, especially related to gambling. I've got some I told you the Michael Jordan story, but for every Michael Jordan story, I also have a heartbreaking, terrible story.
Right.
So I would love to bring some of those stories to life on either the big screen or on the smaller screen. So that's definitely a bucket list thing. And hopefully we will do that with the man sitting just 20 feet away from me, Travis Flesher, my guy here at Sticky Paw Studios. He runs the studio, my partner over here, and he's a film grad from UNLV, and we got big plans, Matt. We got big plans. We're coming to you for funding, though.
I think if Netflix wants subscribers, just put your face front and center on the tiles of what's trending now. And
hey, I'm a draw. You got Rogan and then Orlando. We're almost. We're not even in the same. Yeah, no draw.
You got your start as an entertainer. Currently live in Vegas, and this podcast is all about making money. So there's a little brief. Okay?
All right.
Here's some questions about performers who have made the most cash on the strip.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
Number 1, this rocker
Okay.
opened the International Hotel in 1969 and went on to perform over 800 shows there.
Here in Vegas.
Here in Vegas. The International Hotel.
The International Hotel. I don't know that one. Oh, this rocker. Oh my God, this is going to be so shocking for me. Oh man.
69. Rocker 69.
Rocker in 69.
There were only a few, I can imagine. But
Rocker.
there was one.
Is Elvis a rock? Are we considering Elvis? Is Elvis?
There you go.
All right.
Elvis
I should have been
Presley.
a no-brainer. Adam Lieberman, my Action Junkies co-host, when he hears this, I'm never gonna hear the end of it. All right.
800 shows.
Wow.
Incredible. Okay, number 2. 1 for 1. We're on a
Okay.
good start.
All right.
Her recent Planet Hollywood residency was a major success, pulling in over $100 million. Who is she?
Britney Spears?
Britney Spears. Ding,
All right.
ding, ding.
All right.
2 for 2.
Woo!
All right, number 3. This comedian sold out the Hollywood Theater at MGM Grand for 15 weeks a year from 96 to 2003. Sold out. Since then, he's been putting up crazy numbers at the Luxor. Who is he?
Carrot Top.
Boom. You know your Vegas trivia. Look at this. 3 for 3.
All right.
Next question. This duo held a headlining residency at the Rio
Penn and
since
Teller.
2001. Boom. Is that from being in the live shows, or do you watch Can You Fool Us?
No, I've never watched that. No. No, I know my Vegas pretty good. I know
That's
my Vegas.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't even finish the question. Boom.
You like that?
I've gotten caught down the rabbit hole watching some of those tricks, trying to fool them. It's
Yeah.
a good show.
Yeah, they're great.
They do a good job.
Yeah.
All right, next question, number 5. We're undefeated. I hope we can keep this winning streak. She has 2 highest grossing residences in Vegas history, bringing in a staggering $600 million over the course of nearly 15 years. Who is she?
Celine Dion.
Boom. 5 for 5.
I'm the king of Vegas.
You are
I'm the king of Vegas.
Number 6. This color-themed collection of performers, I should not even have to finish the question,
I'll let you do it, but
is still going with nightly shows at the Luxor.
Blue Man Group.
It's insane. I remember seeing Blue Man Group in New York City when I was like 5.
Really?
And the same guys. Can you believe that? They're still,
Yeah.
I guess we'll never know if they're the same
we'll
guys
never
or
know.
not.
Yeah, they're good.
Number 7, undefeated so far.
Okay.
We got 3 more.
Okay.
He
I'm
was
sweating.
one half of a magician duo until he got mauled on stage by a tiger during the act. Who are we talking about?
Oh, I don't know which one got mauled though. Roy got mauled, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Roy
Siegfried
of
and Roy.
Siegfried and Roy.
Yeah. That's a bad one, huh?
It's all for showbiz.
That's a bad day in the
Sheesh.
office. Yeah.
Number 8, after being 7 for 7.
Okay.
Last one, and then we'll have a bonus one. So
Okay.
this is it. This iconic New York City comedy club recently opened at a location in Vegas. What?
Wise Guys. Right? Wise Guys Comedy Club? Did I blow it?
Wise Guys may very well have opened in Vegas, but this iconic New York City
Caroline's?
club, the Comedy Cellar, opened in Vegas.
Fail.
And that is question 8.
Fail.
Bonus question.
Okay, let me get the bonus
Okay,
one.
you might be able to redeem yourself
Oh,
here.
look at me. I'm sweating right now. Okay.
If I go on to the Cellar on open mic night, what are the odds that I might catch Jon Orlando running a new 5 minutes?
Me doing a new 5 minutes? Like if you do it, will I do it? Oh, I have been talking about, I've been getting the itch a little bit. I've actually over the last year or two been jotting down little maybe premises for bits on my notepad, on my iPhone. I am
You
open
gotta always
to
be
it.
thinking.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to it. I'm open to it.
Well, whether it's the Wise Guys or the Comedy Cellar,
Yeah.
we might see up there again.
All right. Would you do it?
I've gotten a lot more comfortable with public speaking, just naturally being a quarterback and being
Yeah.
kind of the voice. You kind of have to be the voice. But in terms of like pre-written jokes, I guess it's just rehearsed stuff that's been in your head over and over, and you refine it, right?
Yeah.
But I like more of like the quick-witted offhand jokes that kind of just catch people off guard.
Yeah.
Which I guess you can manufacture if it's in the right
Sure. Yeah, for
scenario.
sure.
But
Yeah.
maybe one day.
All right.
We'll see.
All right.
But that about wraps it up, John.
Man,
thank
that was
you,
fun.
That was fantastic. Talking gambling, NFTs, showbiz, everything in between. If you guys enjoy the show, please remember to rate and leave a review or subscribe if you have not already so that you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening. I am Matt Barkley, and this has been Making Bread.